She dressed for romance. He prepared for murder. How in the world did a hopeful first date end in one of Milwaukee's most chilling crimes? This is Shade Robinson, just 19 years old, bright, ambitious, and planning her future, a future that, tragically, she would never see. And this is Maxwell Anderson, a bartender whose dark plans turn a casual first date into a nightmare. Authorities claim he planned the horrific murder weeks in advance, setting a trap that Shade unknowingly walked right into. Tonight, we retrace Shade's final steps, exploring the disturbing details and unanswered questions behind a case that shocked the community and left even seasoned detectives shaken. How could something so innocent become something so terrifying? What really happened to Shade Robinson? Buckle up, because this story isn't just about crime. It's about hidden darkness, the mask of normalcy, and a secret that might go far deeper than anyone ever imagined.
Maxwell Anderson, this man right here, is accused of killing and dismembering Shade Robinson and scattering her remains across Milwaukee County and Illinois.
Did this man,
State of Wisconsin versus Maxwell Anderson,
kill 19-year-old college student Shade Robinson following a first date on April 1st, 2024? The critical question soon to be before a jury of his peers. What we do and don't know right now pieced together from court documents and search warrants. They reveal a digital footprint beginning with text between the two. On the day in question, Maxwell Anderson messages just got to twisted. Okay, are you inside? Robinson responds. Yes, Anderson said.
Victor's Bar wasn't anything out of the ordinary, just another local hangout in Milwaukee. People laughed, flirted, shared drinks, and let their guard down. But for Shade Robinson, Victor's Bar will become the first link in a deadly chain of events. It was late, around 11:30 p.m. March 29, 2024. Shade walks in alone, relaxed and familiar with the surroundings. She knew people here. It was her comfort zone. She had no reason to fear. Working behind the bar was Maxwell Anderson, a bartender popular enough with regulars but carrying a hidden darkness beneath the surface. On this night, his path crossed Shade's for the first time. To anyone watching, it looked completely harmless. Shade and Maxwell struck up a casual conversation, exchanging numbers around 1:30 a.m. A simple interaction, seemingly innocent, perfectly normal. But here's where the subtle warning signs began. Barely an hour later, Shade sends a casual yet oddly specific text. Hey love, I left my comb there. An everyday item, an innocent oversight, or was it something else? Maxwell's reply seemed innocent enough. Of course, I'll bring it on Sunday. But Sunday passed with no meeting. It was as if he was carefully setting the stage, keeping Shade waiting, drawing her in. A seemingly trivial encounter, a casual meeting. Yet, in hindsight, this first interaction wasn't just random. It was strategic, calculated, and chillingly deliberate. And when they finally met again, everything seemed normal until it wasn't.
The very next day, Robinson's severed leg is discovered on the shores of Lake Michigan in Cudahy's Warnemont Park. Her car found set on fire near 30th and Lisbon, and Anderson spotted on nearby bus security cameras. All of that leading up to his arrest on April 4th.
Monday, April 1st, 2024, started as any ordinary spring evening in Milwaukee. Shade Robinson dressed casually, excited and hopeful for what seemed like a promising first date. Her companion, Maxwell Anderson, the bartender she'd met only days before. Between 4:15 and 5:18 p.m., they exchanged messages, planning their night. Maxwell suggests dinner at Twisted Fisherman, a local spot known for its laid-back vibe. Shade enthusiastically agrees. Yes, I love seafood, she replies. Maxwell arrives first, casually picking up his W-2 from the bar and telling staff he's sticking around for a date. Shade arrives shortly after, cheerful and at ease. They order drinks, share food, and converse effortlessly for about an hour. No tension, no awkwardness, just two people enjoying each other's company. Witnesses saw nothing unusual. Shade had one drink, a couple shots perhaps, but was completely lucid. She wasn't intoxicated or drugged. As later confirmed by the medical examiner, everything appeared entirely normal. At around 6:25 p.m., Shade and Maxwell moved their date to Duke's Sports Bar, just a short drive away. Shade even sends a Snapchat from inside Duke's, playful, carefree, showing friends she was having a good time. They spent time playing beer pong, laughing and interacting openly. To anyone watching, there was nothing suspicious, nothing alarming, just a typical first date unfolding naturally. But shortly after 9 p.m., the tone shifted subtly yet ominously. Shade willingly leaves with Maxwell, seemingly comfortable as he casually places his arm around her shoulders. Surveillance footage would later show Shade steady, composed, fully aware, not intoxicated, not forced, just unaware of the darkness awaiting her. Her phone's location-sharing app traced their path directly back to Maxwell's place. At 9:24 p.m., they arrived at the duplex he managed. Shade stepped inside voluntarily, never imagining she'd never leave. What happened next behind those closed doors would forever haunt Milwaukee. And as the evening grew quieter, one terrifying silence spoke louder than words.
Then, 9:28 p.m., it pings to the area of Anderson's home near 39th in Oklahoma and stays there for 3 hours and 19 minutes. 12 News legal analyst Dan Adams says what we don't know here could be key.
All we know is that she went to Maxwell Anderson's home with him and she was never seen alive again, and her body parts were found around the community. What happened at Anderson's home is really important for the state to prove if they want to achieve a conviction for first-degree intentional homicide.
At 9:24 p.m., Shade Robinson and Maxwell Anderson arrived at his duplex. From the outside, it looked ordinary, just another home on a quiet Milwaukee street. But behind those closed doors, ordinary ended and the unimaginable began. Downstairs, a tenant noticed something unusual: complete silence. Maxwell was never quiet. Usually, the sound of power tools or woodworking projects filled the night, but not this time. On this night, there was only a chilling, deafening silence. Then, at some point, Maxwell turned on Netflix, selecting an unsettling episode of Love, Death, and Robots. The chilling finale depicted a corpse being dismembered on a beach. Was it a sick coincidence, or deliberate foreshadowing of the horrors about to unfold?
Another question stems from the search of Anderson's home. Investigators discovered blood on bedding and walls, but a footnote in an amended criminal complaint says, quote, Robinson's DNA is excluded.
Right now, we don't know anything further than it's, at least as preliminary tests go, not hers.
We do know from that same search warrant, investigators found a large black axe, female jewelry, women's clothing, and gasoline containers. Noteworthy as police have also linked Anderson to arson. The morning after their first date, a witness watched as someone wearing a tan backpack lit Robinson's car on fire near 30th and Lisbon. That witness yelling, "He did that," as the suspect walked away around 7:30 a.m.
By 10 p.m., Maxwell's phone tells a disturbing story. A series of 5 photos, later deleted, captured graphic images of Shade, vulnerable, clearly unable to resist. One showed a woman's bare backside, jeans and underwear pulled down, matching Shade's clothing that night. Another revealed a woman face down on Maxwell's couch, a hand gripping her body cruelly, a terrifying prelude to the violence that followed. These images were horrifying enough to shock even seasoned detectives, capturing Shade's final moments in terrifying clarity. And yet, the darkest part was still to come. In that quiet Milwaukee duplex, Maxwell Anderson transformed an ordinary home into a house of horrors, one that would haunt everyone involved in the case for years to come. But his sickening plan didn't end there. What happened next would leave a community in disbelief and a family shattered forever. Just after midnight, security cameras across Milwaukee captured something unsettling. Maxwell Anderson moving quietly, deliberately through the darkness. Shade's phone and her black Honda Civic leave the duplex around 1 a.m., tracing a grim journey toward a secluded park near Lake Michigan.
Now, much of the testimony today focused on the locations where detectives found some of Shade Robinson's remains, including a dumping ground near 31st and Galena.
And a warning tonight, the details that we're going to go over of this testimony and investigation are disturbing. After Robinson disappeared, detectives found a severed foot along with pieces of human flesh right near a set of railroad tracks. Investigators said the area was filled with heavy debris, making it very difficult for detectives to determine what was connected to the Robinson case and what was trash.
One detective found a pink blanket with Shade Robinson's face on it, also near the place where her car was torched.
At around 3 a.m., surveillance cameras show Shade's car violently crashing through a lock gate, forcing its way into the remote lakeside area. This wasn't random. It was Maxwell's secret spot, a beach he once bragged about being perfectly hidden. Here, under cover of darkness, Maxwell methodically dismembered Shade's body, attempting to erase every trace of her existence. But even the most calculated plans leave clues.
Jurors were shown photos of the severed foot and also of the entire crime scene, which was covered with trash. Detectives on the stand described how difficult the search was due to the weather and debris.
By sunrise that morning, Milwaukee firefighters responded to another disturbing scene. Shade Honda Civic engulfed in flames, set ablaze on the city's north side. Maxwell, calm and calculated, was seen casually walking away, discarding evidence, trying to erase his tracks. After torching the car, Maxwell took a city bus, blending unnoticed among morning commuters. He disposed of his hoodie in a public trash can, calmly returning home to shower, change, and clock in for work as if nothing happened. Police soon found Shade's clothing ID and destroyed phone inside the smoldering car trunk. But by then, Maxwell believed he'd covered his tracks. What he didn't realize was that every step, every cruel act, was slowly forming a chilling portrait of a killer. But even with mounting evidence, a critical mystery remained. Shade's head was never found, and neither was the murder weapon. Investigators turned to Maxwell's past, desperate to understand who this man truly was, and if Shade was really his first victim. Before Maxwell Anderson became known as one of Milwaukee's most disturbing killers, he was something entirely different. A promising high school football star with a bright future ahead. He even enlisted in the Navy, but that chapter was short-lived, ending abruptly under unclear circumstances. Back home, Maxwell quietly took up bartending, blending into Milwaukee's nightlife, meeting women, building relationships, and, as it would soon become clear, carefully masking a troubling pattern of violence. Authorities discovered Maxwell's troubling past, records showing prior charges of battery and domestic abuse. Women close to him describe him as someone who made their skin crawl, the type of man whose charm masked a deep and violent temper.
What we know about Maxwell Anderson is limited, but piecing together records and court documents, Anderson has ties to Waukesha County, attending Kettle Moraine, Catholic Memorial, and Pewaukee high schools in the late 2000s. Prior to the homicide, Anderson had several run-ins with the law, an OWI ticket in 2014, then again in 2022, a guilty plea. Also from 2014, a family fight in Waukesha County that ended with a guilty plea to disorderly conduct. 2015, court records from Door County show he pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct, criminal damage to property, and intimidating a witness after another family fight. And in 2019, in Milwaukee, he pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct after punching a man.
When police finally arrested Maxwell on April 4th, 2024, just blocks from his home, he didn't run, didn't fight. He simply surrendered. Detectives believe his basement held the keys to the gruesome crime. But what they found instead raised more disturbing questions. Inside the basement walls, investigators uncovered hidden clothing that belonged to multiple unidentified women, but notably not Shade, whose clothing were these. Had Maxwell harmed others? The unsettling discovery hinted at a deeper, darker past yet to be revealed. Police desperately searched for forensic evidence, blood, DNA, a murder weapon, but found nothing conclusive. Maxwell had carefully erased his tracks, leaving detectives frustrated and bewildered. No blood on knives, no evidence on axes, just strange, unexplained animal blood and stains belonging to Maxwell himself. The absence of hard evidence was chilling. A horrific murder without a single forensic trace. Just a haunting testimony from an informant who claimed Maxwell had prepared a kill room weeks before, complete with plastic tarps, saws, and a chilling boast of intent. But with no definitive evidence in the basement, investigators were left with troubling questions. Had Maxwell planned meticulously enough to commit the perfect crime, or was there something else police had overlooked? And as detectives grappled with these haunting uncertainties, one grim reality became clear. Shade Robinson might not have been Maxwell's only victim. By the time the sun rose over Milwaukee in the days following Shade Robinson's disappearance, investigators had pieced together enough to know the truth was horrifying, but far from complete. Shade's remains were found, piece by piece, scattered across city parks and remote beaches. A leg, a hip bone, an arm washed ashore. Eventually, most of her body was recovered, all except for one crucial part, her head. Without her head, investigators were robbed of the one thing that might have confirmed exactly how Shade was killed, whether she was strangled, shot, or something worse. That single missing piece turned the entire case into a haunting puzzle that would never be fully solved. And there was something even more disturbing than what was found. What wasn't? The murder weapon was never recovered. Not a drop of Shade's blood was discovered in Maxwell's home. No concrete DNA trail. No crime scene. It was as if she vanished into darkness, piece by piece, only to reappear as fragments of a life violently stolen. Then came the hidden clothing. Tucked into the foundation beams of Maxwell's basement were women's garments that didn't belong to Shade. Where did they come from? Who did they belong to? Why were they hidden? Police could only speculate. No missing persons reports matched the clothing. No DNA links. And Maxwell wasn't talking. Which raises the most disturbing question of all. Was Shade Robinson truly his first victim? Or was she just the first one he couldn't completely hide? With no murder weapon, no head, and no traceable trail, the truth of what happened in Maxwell Anderson's duplex may never fully come to light. What we're left with are ashes, unanswered questions, and a terrifying sense that justice, though served, may not be complete. But in the end, one decision still had to be made. Guilty or not? Would the jury see through the darkness and find justice for Shade?
As to count one, the verdict reads, "We, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as charged in count one of the information." As to count two, we, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of mutilating a corpse as charged in count two of the information. As to count three, we, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of arson of property other than a building as charged in count three of the information. As to count four, we, the jury, find the defendant, Maxwell Anderson, guilty of hiding a corpse as charged in count four of the information. At this point, I will poll the jury.
On June 6, 2025, after just 30 minutes of deliberation, the jury delivered their verdict, guilty on all counts. For the murder and mutilation of Shade Robinson, Maxwell Anderson was now facing life behind bars. The decision was swift, but not without weight. According to jurors, it wasn't the testimony or timeline that sealed the case. It was the photos. The 5 horrifying images Maxwell took before trying to erase them. In those photos, they saw the truth. In Shade's final moments, they saw the monster behind the mask. Shade's family could finally begin mourning with a sense of justice. But still something lingers. A discomfort, a question that won't go away. There was no murder weapon, no blood, no confession. And that missing head? Never found. And then there's the basement, the clothing, the tarp-lined kill room described by an informant weeks before the crime. Was justice truly served, or are there darker secrets yet undiscovered? Shade Robinson was 19, a student, a daughter, a friend. She had dreams of serving in the military, of becoming someone who stood for justice. Instead, her life was stolen by a man who lived in silence and hid in plain sight. And remember, behind every headline is a human being. Behind every monster, a mask. And behind every silence, a truth waiting to be uncovered. If this story moved you, share Shade's name. Let her memory be more than tragedy. Let it be a reminder of the dangers we don't always see. Don't forget to like, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe to At Crime Gone Viral. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a case that needs to be told.